Alright, so the NFL Black Friday game has officially concluded. The Chiefs barely escaped with a victory against the very bad Las Vegas Raiders team. And the main topic of discussion in today's video is going to be the ending of the game. And there was a couple shady moments where Kansas City had some penalties that should have been called or should not have been called, that weren't called or were called in their favor, and it just looks suspicious as shit, and every common casual football fan and viewer could understand that clearly this game was sort of skewed in the direction of Kansas City. I'm not saying this is some sort of conspiracy theorist, because I'm pretty sure everybody on the fucking planet that watches football would agree with me, if you're not a Kansas City Chiefs fan, that this game looked very suspicious. It looked like a fake game. It looked like fucking WWE NFL version. There's a lot of penalties that weren't called, a lot of holdings, a lot of illegal block in the back. There's a lot of penalties, a lot of PIs that weren't called. And conversely, there were a lot of PIs that were called on the Raiders, a lot of cheap penalties called on the Raiders. And then, you know, the final drive of the game, Aiden O'Connell played a great game. I thought he played well, good enough to win, played great, had a phenomenal last drive. And it was taken away because the center Jackson Powers Johnson snapped it way too early. I know the clock was winding down, it was at like 3 or 2 seconds, but O'Connell clearly wasn't set, the offense clearly wasn't set, and Powers Johnson snaps the ball, and O'Connell fumbles it, and the Chiefs recover. However, before that happens, actually, a referee comes in from the top of the screen and blows the whistle and blows the play dead, so the play shouldn't count. And one of the referees was signaling false start, which would mean they would go backwards 5 yards, yes, but also that crucial fumble will never happen, and they get a second chance at life, a chance to win the football game. And apparently they changed the ruling to a legal shift on the field, which would mean that that would convert to the play actually counting and the Chiefs recovering the ball and winning the game. That's just not how penalties work. I mean, you can't tell me that one ref rules something, the whistle literally gets blown, so the play shouldn't count no matter what. There's no fathomable way that a referee blows his whistle and signals false start, and then all the refs change the call to, okay, now the play, stands. Now we're going to say that play actually started and concluded with Kansas City recovering a fumble, because the play never counted because the whistle was fucking blown. There's something going on. I don't like it. I mean, every time you watch a Chiefs game, there's something fishy or suspicious happening in the final quarter of the game. It's unavoidable, and they're on primetime every week. And they've not been on primetime like twice the whole season. And it gets tiring watching this team on primetime every goddamn week, because you know the end result. You know that the Chiefs are going to end up winning the game by a ticky-tack fucking call in the last quarter of the game, or some bullshit happens, or they get really lucky and somehow find a way to win the game. And it's just ridiculous, man. And by the way, the Chiefs would be 2-10 if you reverse the score of every one of their one-possession games. So that is an indicator that this team is probably not going to fare all that well in the playoffs, because here are some of the teams that they've been in one-score games with. The Raiders, the Panthers, the Raiders again, the Bengals, and the Buccaneers. Notice how all of those teams are not in a playoff position. You can say the Bucs are close to getting in a playoff position, but right now, it's all up in the air. Who knows? The Bengals are in a playoff position. They'll probably lose to the Steelers this week, and they'll be 4-8, and they'll have no chance of making the playoffs, because Denver would have to start losing a bunch of games, and Denver is not looking like they're going to lose a bunch of games. They're looking like they're probably going to win 10 or 11 games. So the Bengals with a loss would be out of the playoffs. But regardless of any of that, it's very suspicious. I find it very funny how every one of their games ends in either a really close finish against a garbage team or something really suspicious. Something that doesn't look right, something that looks fishy, something that just doesn't look authentic, doesn't look real. Looks like it was made up on the spot to give the Chiefs the advantage so they can win the game, because the Chiefs are the big draw and the big money maker of the NFL. And the whole Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce thing, and them being the most popular team right now with the most popular players, and Kelce and Mahomes. I mean, it just reeks of I can't believe this, because the NFL, I never thought they'd stoop this low, where they're catering to one team so much, they're willing to basically rig the outcome of a game in their favor. It doesn't make any sense. It's not something that's watchable. It comes off as phony. It comes off as fake. It comes off as disingenuous. It's a slap in the face to everyone who's a football fan. No matter if you're a diehard, hardcore, a casual football fan, it doesn't matter what type of football fan you are. It's an insult. They're spitting in your face and telling you to like it or else. They're telling you that you're either gonna like it or eat shit and die. And I guess I'd rather eat shit and die because this crap is getting on my last fucking nerve. It's ridiculous, it's disgusting, it's tasteless. This is not a product that is watchable. This is not a product that I want to even watch. And every time that the Chiefs are on primetime, I'm just going to avoid them. Because I know the outcome. They're going to beat some garbage meddling team 20-17 in a ticky-tack ending where the other team gets called for 14 penalties for 115 yards. And the Chiefs, conversely, only get 3 penalties for 30 yards. And they get a bunch of ticky-tack calls going their way, and they end up winning the game with a field goal or a touchdown the last drive to win the game. It's just, it's ridiculous. It's what it is. It's not something that I can keep watching and say, wow, this looks like football. This is real fucking football right here. It's not real football. It looks fake. It's not fucking real looking. It looks fixed. I'm not trying to say the teams are in on it. I'm just trying to say the referees are giving so much of an advantage to Kansas City that it looks like the outcome of the game is being predetermined because of the officiating. It doesn't matter how good the other team is playing. And the one time that the refs have been sort of cordial and fair to both teams, the Chiefs got destroyed. So, I mean, it is what it is. Take of that what you will. But this just irritates me because as someone who watches a shitload of football and watches the NFL religiously, it's not something that I want to watch and want to sit down and watch and even make videos on. That's the reason I'm avoiding the Kansas City Chiefs, because I don't want to make a video like this. There's no point. It's just a waste of my time. I'm getting angry for no fucking reason, and I don't think any of you guys really want to see a video on this team because you're all sick and tired of hearing about the Kansas City fucking Chiefs, just as I am. Just as I am. I'm just as sick as hearing about this team, just as sick of watching this team on primetime television every goddamn week and watching them somehow find a way to miraculously beat 3-win teams. I mean, they barely beat the Panthers. That says a lot about that team. You think that team is gonna fucking all of a sudden, they're gonna rally off a bunch of wins against a bunch of 12, 13, 11-win teams in the playoffs and win the Super Bowl? No, it's not gonna happen this year. They're not going to win the Super Bowl, because they're playing down to cream puff competition. The Raiders are fucking horrible. They got one of the worst coaching staffs in the NFL. They don't have a quarterback, although O'Connell played good enough to win today. I mean, they're winning off of bullshit. It is what it is. They're winning off of bullshit penalties, and they're winning against shitty teams barely by like 1 score. I'm embarrassed. I'm very embarrassed, and the NFL has to step in and say, okay, we're done with this. But they're not going to, because Kansas City makes them so much fucking money, it's unreal. And people are going to continue to watch, and it gets on my fucking nerves. Thank you all for watching. This has been Mr. Truth, and this was nothing but the truth.